Hey, good morning, guys. Can somebody just put a quick okay in the chat if everything sounds okay, everything looks okay? I think everything looks okay. Let me have a look. Okay, I think everything looks okay. Just pin that one. Okay, I think everything's okay. Okay, I think market's about to open any second now. Okay, we're officially open. Okay, market's open. Market's been open a minute or two now. I popped in a while ago actually, and had a quick look at this one. But I decided to leave it and wait a little bit, so we should have taken it. Okay, so market's open. So far we've come in, we've had this little bit of sideways, and we're working our way down. So let's have a look what we had. So we've had a big push up, big drop down, big push up, big drop down. So at the moment we seem to be moving down slowly. So I'm using this now as a bit of a break there, but I don't know. Possibly not. Okay. I've got some news up here as well shortly, so I'm going to be careful what I do. Now, I don't know, I can't think. ISM Services PMI. So I might be a little bit careful about making any trades close to this. So whether this sideways movement's got anything to do with the news or not, I don't know yet. I don't know. Okay, so we got a few people watching. Who have we got? Who's first? Who's first? Does my microphone sound okay? Am I coming through clear? Ah, morning, yeah, okay, great, excellent. So, brilliant, loud and clear, perfecto. The trouble is when you're new to streaming, you never know, I could be sat here talking to myself for half an hour. It'd be the first time. Okay, so no, I wasn't due to stream today, but it turns out I never had any work today, so I'm quite pleased actually. Should get a nice pop. Up or down? Okay, so I'm on day 3 of the evaluation, currently on $685 and a bit of change. So I've got 4 days to trade this week and possibly up. Good. And possibly I can also do a micro on Friday should I hit my target, which would give us the 7 days. So fingers crossed before slamming back down. It's weird that, isn't it? We always tend to get a sort of, sometimes if things go up, we get a big push up and then it's sort of, we recover and then... but also I've noticed as well, if you want to trade the news, it's pretty hard on this chart because we tend to get a shoot in both directions, don't we, sometimes? Sometimes if we're moving up, we get a quick shoot down followed by a big push up, so it doesn't really matter where you got your trade or your short. In some cases, you get stopped out regardless. So I don't know much about this news. I know the ones I tend to, I think, is the CPI data and the NF, the non-farm payroll, are the ones I'm more familiar with. So I'm assuming by that comment you think the news is a little bit better. What news is it exactly? ISM services. Anybody know what that is? Institute of something. I probably should know a little bit more about what it is. I tend to just know it's there and avoid it. Okay, so we've had a push up here. It's currently going down. We've had a push up here and we've got a lower high there, which is tempting. But I don't like the way these bars are stacking side by side, giving me the indication if we may have a push up, a little pullback, followed by another push up. So I'm a little bit nervous about going short there. I've had a few aha moments this last week about getting into trades where we're getting some sideways movement. So, I mean, we're trying to push up there. Well, maybe as we are. We've had to try to push up and we seem to have. So maybe as we are coming down. So what is that? That's a 2.25 risk bar. Actually, that's not that terrible, is it? Yeah, sometimes we'll push up, we'll come back and we'll have another leg up. We had 2 legs down here, 1 leg, 2 legs, and we almost finished to the nearest tick. I did look at that trade, but I was flitting in and out, wasn't paying much attention. So, yeah, they're a bit too sort of sidewaysy. If there's people in that short, you tend to get in a little bit quicker, especially after we've had this push. So, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Looks like I might be. But I'm just a little bit nervous. Sometimes the market opens and you just got to give it a little bit of time to settle. And obviously we've got this news looming, so I get a little bit wary. I've got to say, it is streaming in front of people. It is definitely making a difference for me, 100%. I mean, I've tried this. I think this is day 5 now, and I have not had one single instance of feeling like I want to jump back into the market. So this is 100% working for me. So I think I've found my golden egg. So I'm really pleased with that. The fact that people are watching you and you don't want to make a complete tit of yourself is helping me. And I feel quite different towards trading now. In fact, what I've noticed is it's opening up the chinks in my armour when it comes to the skills for trading. I've noticed, I'm still falling foul of, these sort of little sideways areas. So, but I don't mind losing a trade as long as I learn something from it. So, I'm really pleased. I appreciate you guys for hooking up with me and spending a bit of time with me. I don't know. Hopefully, I'm giving you a little bit. I used to listen to the Panda Guy. It's nice to have a bit of company. It can be quite lonely sometimes, sat there by yourself. So it's nice to have just maybe someone else there to run some ideas over. And I'm hopefully, if I'm, you're looking at my chart and thinking, how does it compare to yours? And I suppose sometimes 2 heads are better than 1, but it's definitely helping me. I've noticed my trading feels very different. I don't feel the urge to jump in when I lose a trade. And that's something I've never had. So it's night and day for me. This is exactly. We're all in the same boat. We're all trying to make a better life for ourselves, aren't we? Trying to do something we enjoy doing, and we all want to make a nice bit of money, don't we? And have some nicer holidays and nice chunk of money in the bank. So it takes away that sort of that worry of anything going wrong. Having you taken the background helps us. Yeah, good. So that can either be a good thing or a bad thing. Sometimes I've got a tendency sometimes to chat on because I'm currently driving for a living HGV because it enables me to trade 3 days. You spend such a lot of time by yourself that when I get home, my mouth doesn't stop, and my wife reminds me that slow down a little bit. No, I'm not, Dave. I am currently on an evaluation. Now, I've passed multiple valuations and I've failed multiple valuations and some PA accounts. But I'm getting to that level now where I think I've gone full circle, and I think I've done all the stupid stuff, hopefully, and I've jumped, when we've had 80% off, I've taken one and I've just gone all in, 10 contracts, trying to make it work. And I've done that 3 times in a day. So you sort of go full circle and you do you start off very careful, and then you get frustrated, and then you take a few risks, and then you go a bit careful, and then you get frustrated, and then you start just chucking money away and blowing accounts like there's no tomorrow. And I think that's part of it. I think you've got to go through that. The emotions get hold of you, and they sort of, bend you and stretch you, and you find it hard to manage them. But my theory is the longer you expose yourself to these emotions, the sooner you'll get used to them, and they won't have such an impact on you, and you'll maybe come out the other side. So that's my theory. So, yeah, as long as you're not fed up with me and you don't mind me yabbering on, all good. Okay, so that's blown that channel idea out the water. So we are coming down. I did look at that trade there to lower high, but we had this big push up. Sometimes you get a push. We've come down here and we've made 2 legs down. We've made some sideways movement, so maybe we're reversing a little bit. I don't know. Maybe as we still are. Maybe as we're looking to go higher, but sometimes we get this quick sharp movement followed by a recovery or followed by a correction and another. I wasn't able to find that bar size. Was it you, Dave? Okay, so let me see what I can do here, mate. Let me have a little look here. The bar size counter, it's called. If I remember, I had that probably about 8 months ago. I think I searched Ninja Trader bar size counter. Have a look for it, mate. If you can't find it, look back up with me again on another stream, and I'll see if I can find the file and mail it to you. But it's free anyway, so I was just browsing. I just wanted something. I'd seen somebody have it, and I just wanted something that gives me, tells me exactly what that bar is. Although now my trading's come on a little bit more, I tend to be a little bit less concerned about the size of the bar. If I see it as a good trade, regardless of the side, I'll generally take it. If I'm a little bit unsure, I will look at the bar. But a good trade, so yeah. So have another look. Just Google it. Just Google. That's all I did. Just Google bar size counter for Ninja Trader. Where is it? They are bar size counter for Ninja Trader. Oh, we are. There you go. www.ticktech.com. Go there. You can see that okay, can't you? I'll leave it on there for a second. ticktech.com. www. And have a look there, mate. I downloaded it. It was just free. Yeah, you got that. You can always, you got it. Nice one. All right, pal. If you do have any issues, then just give me, hook up and let me know, and I'll sort it out for you. But yeah, it's I like it actually. It just tells me straight away the full size of that. Obviously, you know what this one is. This is the count, and this 11 ticks just tells me what the previous one does. Which I don't know whether I need it or not really. See, we are starting to. We've come down here, haven't we? We've gone sideways a bit. We've broken up out of it, and we've moved back down. So price does seem to be holding. But where are we now? It's not far off 10 to 3 where we got this news. So as tempting as that looks, we've come down. We've made a new low there, and let's have a look at that. Yeah, it's sort of second entry long, isn't it? It's not quite as bullish as I'd like it. I think it's fair we may pop back up here, but I don't know. It's just a little bit risky for me at the moment. I've been caught out, well, a couple of times that, but over the last few days, I've avoided some trades going sideways, and they would have went against me, so that tends to just get it through your thick head a little bit more. That I need to keep my eyes open. Yeah, it's stalling a little there, isn't it? As I say, I did look at that one, but there's a little bit of sideways movement, and I've been caught out a few times, so I'm trying to control myself a little bit. Bouncing at the overnight lows. Where are we? Yeah, overnight lows for you, afternoon lows for me. It's coming up 3 o'clock in the UK. Yeah, if you'd have taken this second entry long there, mind you, we're in a clear downtrend, so you really don't want to be counter trend trading. What was that, Brant? Another guy in a different Apex group had 20 accounts, was waiting for his first $40,000 withdrawal, and he lost it all accidentally, being long before the... Oh, Christ almighty. Accidentally lost it, being long before the news. Oh, God, that's a big mistake, that is, isn't it? That's a costly mistake. Gordon Bennett, I think I'll be throwing myself out the window if I lost that. Oh, my good God. I suppose the only saving grace is if he made 40 grand, he's obviously a good enough trader to get back up there. Not only that, if he's paying... So that's the trouble. You have 20 accounts. What's one account? It's about $85 a month in fees, isn't it? So he's paying nearly $1,700 a month just in fees for that. That's why I can't quite bring myself to have multiple accounts. I mean, for me, the trouble is if you're constantly having multiple accounts and you're blowing accounts, you're actually blowing multiple accounts. So I get sort of why people do it, maybe 3 or 4 or 5, but 20, that's a lot. Posting updates every day of his accounts with a trade copy, just, yeah. Yeah, see, I've heard 1 or 2 people talk about that trade copy. Sometimes you can have issues with it. The way I see it, if I can get one account working, once I make some money for one account, then I may add a few more to it. Yeah, I tend to sort of, I mean, I've blown enough money on this without, I mean, if I was blowing multiple accounts. The trouble is with trade copy, if you're copying, you know, if you make a bad trade, theoretically you've copied that bad trade and made a bunch more, so it can be quite suicidal, I think, sometimes. Oh, 40 grand, oh my God. 40 grand would be nice around Christmas, Christ. Yeah, R. Let your name R. It's good to be held accountable, absolutely. Yeah. It is. If people are watching you, you're less likely to do something stupid. That's my theory. Well, it's certainly working for me. Honest Apex won't qualify these trades as legitimate anyway. If you aren't trading your normal strategy, so you won't get paid anyway. Everyone needs to see the consistency rule. Yeah, I've spoken to a few people about that. And Daryl's been on the conversation. I think, you know, you can, like I'm trading 2 contracts now. If I saw a great trade and a real opportunity, then I may go up to 2 contracts. I don't think that's the issue. I think where this consistency rule comes into play is if you're trading large amounts of contracts and then you make a chunk of money and then all of a sudden you go down to micros. You're clearly trying to manipulate the system, but you know, if I do 2 contracts now and then make $350 and then do 4 contracts and decide to you know, take it down and maybe get a few $1,000s out of it, I don't think that's a real issue, because I know some of the guys that trade that sniper system, they tend to swing trades, so they can have a, you know, a day where they don't make a lot, or they can have a day where they make, you know, quite a few thousand. So as long as you're not clearly trying to manipulate the system, you know, by going for large amounts of contracts and then going on to micros, I don't think there's an issue. Let's get rid of that. It's part of another thought of me trading live here. So if there's any issues with any of my trades, I can say, well, hold on a minute, look at my trading day. Can you see any manipulation there? So that's another benefit of trading live, that, you know, someone can take a look at mine and say, you know, you tell me where I'm trying to manipulate the system. So Alexandro, hi guys, how do you configure Ninja to set drawing tools in in left bar. Drawing tools in left bar. What do you mean, bud? These down here? Or across the top? How do you configure Ninja to set drawing tools in left bar? Not sure what you mean there, bud. I think these tools here came from, I was with Mac for 12 months, which was this one here, I think. Was it? No, sorry, Pat's toolbar. That's where I think these come with it. These come with NinjaTrader. The rest, I think, came with Pat's toolbar. That's a download if you become a member of Pat's. I think these ones on the left here, I think these just come with NinjaTrader. I'm pretty sure they do. It's been a while since I've set it all up. Both. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these just come with NinjaTrader. You may have to go into... Let's have a look. You may have to go into Tools and set them up. But I'm pretty sure they're just, I was aware they were just there. So have a play around, mate. Have a fiddle around, see how you get on. Maybe someone else might be able to help you here. As long as you can justify your trades. Yeah, I don't think they're mega strict on it. I know there was some chit chat around a couple of the Facebook channels when this was talked about maybe a month and a half ago. Apparently a guy had traded on the news with a large amount of contracts on a PA account, had hit $30,000 profit, and from there on traded a micro or micros. That's clearly manipulating the system. He's clearly got lucky on that one. I think all they want to do is just see you trading normal. If they stop, left, right and centre stopping people's money, they're soon going to lose customers. I don't think that I don't think it's nothing to worry about. As long as you're trading normal, you're trading with a strategy. You're not just going for potluck and going for gold. Where are we? Okay, we've got this news coming up in about 3.5 minutes. Seem to have 2 pushes down there. Trade one. Is that you say equity? Ectree? I'm not very good with that. I trade one account at a time. Perhaps in the future, when I'm better trader, I'll duplicate a few. Yeah, absolutely, mate. That's the same as me. I figure if I'm blowing accounts, I'd rather be blowing one at a time rather than 5 at a time. My goal is to trade up to multiple accounts, but to basically use one of them to fund the next one. So absolutely, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing one at account. If I can get to a payout of $2,000, then I'll inject maybe a quarter of it back in and buy a few more accounts. But I get the idea of having multiple accounts. You can lower your contract size a bit and split it over a few. I absolutely get that, yeah. But I probably like most of you put fair few £1,000 into this, and I want to try and get a little bit back before I put a bit more in. But I've said this before, if you are struggling and you're struggling blowing accounts and just looking for ideas and looking for ways, I've read so many different ideas. People say walk away from the computer. People say sit back and leave your mouse alone. People say, take a break, do this, do that. I've tried them all and it doesn't really make a difference. The only way I can describe it is these emotions that we get from trading, it's not something we experience on a daily basis, and you need to experience them. You need to be exposed to them regularly, and then you start to get used to those feelings and they bother you less. You begin to it's like anything happens in life that causes you an emotional period in your life. It takes time. You need to sort of have them and deal with them and get used to them, and then you become be able to manage them. And I think that's really the only answer. And I think that's why they say 95% of traders fail, because they don't allow themselves enough time to go through those emotions, to come out the other side. It's certainly a journey. I've never really understood the word, the meaning of the word journey until I learned to trade, and it is a journey full of ups and downs. You know, I've had days where I've got 3 screens. I used to have 4. I ended up breaking one of them a few months ago. So you'll come full circle. You'll do everything. You'll do everything. Let's just hope you've got a patient wife. I've got a pretty patient wife. Luckily for me. Because you will have miserable days. I know another trader pal, Marlon, who I speak to. I think he started a new relationship maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and he said he'd had a bad day trading, and he just wasn't in the mood to talk to her. So you've got to have patient partners, that's for certain. Okay, judging by my time, we're a few seconds away from this news, so something's happening. Oh, there we go. Big push down. And then it stops. Oh, another big push down. And then a bit of a recovery. Okay, nothing too major. What was that? 5, 10, 15, probably about 18, 20 points drop. But we've recovered more than half of that, I think. Now we're going down again. So tempting, isn't it, really, to think big push down, pull back. Are we going to get another push down? So tempting to just want to go short, isn't it? Whenever we see red. But I've tried. Doesn't work. I tell you what, it'll go down all day, and then when you decide to jump in, guaranteed it turns around and comes up. Okay, so 5, 10, 15, 20, yeah, about 20 points. 20 points of movement. And I believe that is it for the day. I have activated the medium impact news on my computer now. Last week I took a short at the top of a channel, and luckily it won, because I think about 30 seconds later it bounced up and down. Apparently it was something to do with some sort of news. I don't know, some medium impact news, but it was quite high in medium impact news, so I just adjusted my chart and put the medium. So if there is some medium news, I might just avoid that for a second. Big overshoot, we may get a break of the channel, maybe. Oh, incidentally, last day of the 80% off today. I think it ends at midnight, US time, I think. Ends at midnight today, so if you are on the lookout for another evaluation, just keep it in mind, it does finish at midnight. I'm assuming they'll have another one around Christmas, I would have thought, or New Year. They seem to do them quite regularly, sort of monthly. There's always some holiday or some sort of an event of some case. They seem to do them quite often now, which is good, actually. I don't know, I could bring myself to paying even 50% off. That used to the 80% offs. Yes, we've had this push down, haven't we? And then we've had one pullback, followed by another pullback. I'm assuming, based on steady downtrend and a quick push down, that we're quite likely going to continue down, maybe. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. So, get rid of that now. Get rid of them. Okay, so we've had a push up, a break and a new high. So if we can get a push down below the EMA, it's gone a bit flat, isn't it? Down with the EMA. Trouble is, we've had this trend down, we've had this push out the bottom. Maybe we're going to come back in to here and continue down, or whether we're going to push up a little bit more and come towards the top. Sometimes when we come out the bottom, we can come out the top. But I don't think we can use this as a normal break of channel. Obviously that was to do with the news, so it's not what you would call a sort of a normal break. I've got the 10,000 tick chart on one of my other screens as well. I just keep having a little bit of a browse. Just gives me a bit more of an overall picture. I find it quite useful sometimes. And on the 10,000 tick chart, we're moving way back, moving back towards the EMA. Fading overnight lows. Bullish momentum is coming. Yeah, see, these are the overnight lows, aren't they, I'm assuming? Yeah. So you call them the overnight lows, I call them mid-afternoon lows. I'm still thinking with this slow down trend and this push to the low side, that indicates we're going down. This indicates the news wasn't fantastic. So maybe as we are going down, I would have thought so. It's certainly, if I had to sort of put money in it, yes, we've had this push up and break a new high. Let's get that back where it was. Okay, so yeah, we've had this push up, we've had a break and a new high, and we seem to be working our way down. Whether we're going to continue down or move back up, I don't know. It's looking pretty bearish at the minute. We've had this little push down, a little bit of a green candle, but okay, we've had this channel moving down, we've now had a break. Yeah, things still aren't really clear for me. It's a little bit choppy around this bottom, isn't it? And obviously with this, I like to think we're going low, but the 10,000 tick chart is showing we've had this push up here as a couple of bars, and it looks like we're pushing back up. I think the EMA on the 10,000 tick chart is up here somewhere. So if I was trading the 10,000 tick chart, I'd be thinking about going along. Well, so I would say we're probably going to be, by the looks of the 10,000 tick chart, working our way back up to the top of this channel maybe. $4043, $4043, yeah, it's right about here. Kim, hi Kim. You're a new face, aren't you? Is that what? Is that a self-portrait of you, Kim? Is it? Little smiley face. You're a new face. I don't think we've had you here before, have we, Kim? So if we look at this overall trend, pretty much touches there. See, we could take that down a little bit there, touching it here, it's touching the bottom. We've had a bit of a break here, so maybe we've had a break and a new low. Maybe we are moving back up. Yeah, see, starts here, touch is perfect, touch is perfect. Maybe a little bit of a break, and then a new low, obviously followed by this news. And we seem to be slowly working our way back up. Sometimes we come out the bottom of these channels, or we can come out the top, or maybe we're working up. So things aren't clear. Hey up, bud, how you doing? You're not working today, or are you at home, or are you at work? You're at work, yeah. Does work know what you're doing? Should you be watching me or should you be working? You're in an office, are you? Okay. Still not really clear, is it, at the moment? We're coming back to this side of the channel, but we do seem to be. I need to get myself some headphones. I've got some, everything I've got in this house is wireless. I've got some of the Apple earbuds and a pair of wireless headsets. But I'm trying to figure out how to listen to myself so I can adjust the sound coming out the mic, because there's a bit of if I'm moving my mouth or whatever. I've had a bit of a cold lately, so I'm a little coughy and sniffy, so it tends to come through the mic. But I've found a couple of websites, a couple of YouTube channels that help you adjust it, but you need to hear yourself, and I can't seem to hear my mic at the moment, so I need to get some wired. Get back to get some wired headphones, see if I can figure that out. No, I wasn't due to trade today, mate, but work became a bit quiet, so it was just a last minute thing I found out late last night, so which I don't mind. That's tempting, isn't it? That's very tempting. It's very tempting. Very tempting. It's a second entry long. We are coming up in here. We've touched this. How big's that bar? 2, 3 points. Tempting. But I think at the moment we're still overall in a downtrend. Judging by this, and it is a little bit sideways there, isn't it? And a little bit there. Yeah, I think at the moment we're sort of working our way down, aren't we? This is a downward bias for me, and the EMA is going a little bit sideways there, so I'm a little bit. I'm not comfortable with going along there. Doesn't look like it's going to happen anyway by the looks of things. Yeah, it is congestion, isn't it? I wouldn't be surprised if it ticks above it and then stops you out, but yeah. I think that's one thing I'm learning more and more, these little areas here. Sometimes you see them, don't you, and you're thinking free money, free, even though we're getting, even it's a valuation, but you're so eager to make money. It's so easy, isn't it, just to see something and you get a little bit too keen, a little bit too excited, and off you go, and it backfires on you. So I think the sensible thing to do is to just sit tight, isn't it? And every time when you do sit tight, they go against you. It makes things even better, isn't it? Yeah, good patience, something I've struggled with a bit. I've got to say, though, I am getting better at it now. It is getting better. But yeah, it is a little bit congested, isn't it? A little bit sideways there, and that tells me that, some traders are thinking we're going down again, some think we're moving up again. And it is a bit of an area of indecision, isn't it? And there's a lot of good traders out there, and if they're unsure, they know a lot more than me. You're best to stay out. What I'm hoping is this trade here that triggered, it's going to come down and drop below it. Yeah, Brunt, absolutely, mate. Hard part of trading when you have conflicting patterns without confirmation, which is truly in play. Yeah. You could say either or here, can't you, really? I'd say we certainly got a downward bias. But obviously the way this, I don't know, is it a channel? It looks channelish, doesn't it? It certainly, it started here, it's touching the bottoms, and the top doesn't look too bad, so it's certainly giving people the impression we're going up, but one more tick below. Come on. I hope there's no one in that trade, by the way. No one on here. Anybody else, doesn't matter. Yeah, we're certainly, in fact, if anything, I'd say this is possibly it's a new high. So we made a new high, trying to go once, broke through the MA, trying to go twice. So that's a failure, isn't it? But you wouldn't really take a failure, I don't think. You got 3 bars almost side by side. It has ticked below there, I think. Yeah, it has ticked below there. So if I'd have taken that trade, bad decision. So I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased with that. Every time that happens, it does bolster the fact that you're making better decisions. So tempting, isn't it, to see that and think, oh, second entry long, there we go, moving up a bit. And it does make you feel like you're finally getting somewhere. May hear a bit of barking in the background. We've got 2 cockapoos. My wife's just come back from work, so I think I'm being attacked by wild dogs. Has anybody checked the calendar yet? When people are breaking up for Christmas? I had a brief look. I'm not too sure about the institutional guys. They tend to have a good break, I think, don't they? I know last year I was itching to get back. And lots of people talking about, you'll only find bots which hunt down your stops. I don't know too much about that. But I believe it's good to take that whole break off and wait for the big guys to get back. When you get the institutional guys in, things seem to trade better. It seems to be obviously a lot quieter and not as clear. Yeah, it does look like we're moving down slowly, doesn't it? I mean, so far for the day we've had this nice steady push down, then we had this bit of a drop for the news, and we're sort of doing a little bit of sideways stuff. And it does seem to me we're slowly edging back down again. So what I'm going to do is just I'm going to leave that there at the moment, because that to me, we started here, we touched here, we touched here. That to me is a little bit of a break. So I'm just going to leave that where it is. Kim, I've been waiting for your stream a few times before. I apologise if you've been waiting and it didn't start. What it is, because I've only just started streaming within the last week. What I was doing is I was scheduling a stream, but due to my lack of brains, I wasn't able to get that stream working. What I had to do in the end is just save a key and put this password key into Streamlabs, and that enabled me to start that stream. So what I was doing, I had to forget the scheduled stream and just start a fresh live stream. So that might be why. So if you were waiting, my apologies. But I've worked it out now anyway. So if you are waiting on a stream, it will work now. I promise. Okay, so we've had this push down here. We've had a little bit of a break now. This is tempting. This is tempting. No, it's not. No, it's making me a little bit nervous, that. We do seem to be working down, but there is sort of... seem to be doing this pattern a little bit, don't we? So yeah, that's making me a little bit nervous. I prefer that a little bit bearish finishing right down the bottom. Sometimes when we have a break of these channels, we have sort of a break 2 legs up before we come down, and sometimes you make one leg, you'll jump in and it'll trigger you and then go up and make a second leg and stop you out, only then to go in the direction you initially wanted it to go. And if I'm looking on the 10,000 tick chart at the moment, if I drag that in quickly, you might be able to see that. Let's see if I can move it. Yeah, if I drag that in, that's the 10,000 tick chart. It's going, we're getting some sideways movement there, aren't we, on the way back up? So I'm not convinced we're coming down just yet. Oh, come on. There we go. Yeah, so there we go. On the 10,000 tick chart. Let me just bring it in again. Yeah, 10,000 tick chart. We are sort of sideways-ish, moving back up towards the EMA. And based on what I can see on there and what I can see here, yeah, that's what's happening there. That's why I left that one alone. It didn't trigger anyway, so maybe I'm not convinced. Maybe it is. No, it just seems a bit messy, doesn't it? It just doesn't seem to look right, does it? Let's just sit down and relax. Remember I mentioned about these, when you get a trend down there, sometimes you break out of one end of it and it comes out the other, so that might be, you know, I thought breaking out was caused by the news, but, you know, regardless, we still came out that side, so perhaps this is why we've come out of this side. I'm still looking for shorts at the moment. The bias is still slowly down, and on that 10,000 tick chart now, we're coming back up and kissing that EMA. So we're coming down here, aren't we? We've had that bit of a break and we're sideways back up to the EMA, so I'm still expecting the market to go down. Hey Luca, how you doing, buddy? My chart looks different than yours chart. I think you've got a very unique chart, mate. But the channel's the same. Yeah, they do, mate. I you know, when I first started, I asked Mac this question, and he sent me back a message saying, you know, I look at, well, what his words were, look in the frequently asked questions because I've been asked this 1,000 times. My body basically said was just trade the chart as you see it. I'll reload my historical data, see if it adjusts mine. You know, sometimes I've been through the day and I've taken a trade, sort of say here, and I have an arrow up here, and I reset my, or reload my data, and it turns that from being a really big bullish candle to go short to being a bit of a doji. So it does make you wonder if, you know, if I don't, would I have taken that trade? But I don't know. But no, Max just says just trade your chart as you, let's get rid of that. Just trade the chart as you see it. That's the trouble sometimes when you reset your data, it knocks your system. think we were somewhere around about there. I'm blaming you for this, Luca. Everything's gone wrong. So look. Did I take it to that one, I think, didn't I? Absolutely. Just trade what you see, bud. That's all I've done. Yeah, that's all I've done. That's what Mac told me to do. He's been doing it 25 years, so he'd have come across this many times. It's making a beeline for 40.43. 40.43. That's around about here, isn't it? 40.43. Somewhere around about there. It did, isn't it? And it's sort of making its way down again, but I don't know. It's certainly so if I look at the 10,000 tick chart now, that to me is like almost like the perfect bearish candle, isn't it? Sometimes if you're taking a trade, it's good to have that up and just to have a look, just to see what that's telling you, the overall picture. But obviously at the moment there's no, we've had this sort of two legs up, haven't we? There's been no real setup, and even if we pull back here and make a lower high, still quite flat down the bottom, isn't it? And I'm not sure how confident I am going low into the lows there, or the bottoms I should say, of this area. It seems to sort of almost be in a bit of a range. Yeah, it is really, isn't it? A range. Let's have a look. How does that fit? That looks okay. Yeah, a bit of a range here with a bit of a breakout. But if we push this bottom up here to maybe sort of something like that, we've had that bit of a breakout at the bottom here and a breakout at the top there. So we do seem to be yeah, sort of an area, a little bit of indecision. Maybe it's not a breakout. Maybe it's more something like that. There was a nice fade of that range up here, on about, yeah. Yeah, if I'd have put that in a little bit sooner, I may have taken that one. Because I am still thinking we're going down. So that's tempting, isn't it? That's a lower high. It's just too close to the bottoms. It's quite likely going to be working down, but it might bounce up and down a few more times before it does. Did you take that, Ahmed? Did you short that one, bud? Did you? Because we did sort of have two legs up there, didn't we? That was clearly two legs up. Yeah, so we've had a push down, haven't we? And that's a lower high. Or a higher low, rather. Quite a nice bearish candle, but it's still around this middle line, isn't it? Just went long, did you? You went long here, bud, did you? Okay. From the false bottom, here. Yeah, it formed a nicer on my chart. That formed nicer on your chart, yeah. No short-term channel blocking. Yeah, see, really, that's sort of two legs up, isn't it? Let's have a look. Yeah, that's two legs up, that is. So we went two legs up, new high, break out of this range. Great place to fade it. I hadn't quite drawn the range at that point, I don't think. Yeah, so you got your points, Luca, did you? You took that one, yeah. Are you riding it to the top? What is there? There's about 5 points in there, thereabouts, isn't there? Up to here. Yeah, that was a nice trade actually. 2 clear legs up. Break out of the top of this range. I think your brains work quicker than mine. I didn't draw this straight away. You got 1 point, Luca, did you? You coward. Let's have a look. Where did you take? Where was your point? Where did your point come to? How am I doing? Where's your point? You're not very brave. I thought your Italians were brave. So you went to there, did you? Second out, yeah. Well, the important part is you got your money. Okay, so we're at the top here. That's first entry. So let's see what happens here. You need to be brave, Luke. You need to be brave. Brave, bordering on stupidity. that's the way I run my trading. Now the important part is you made your point, mate. You made your point. As small as it was, you made it. So yeah, if this was a breakout of this, what's it here? If you hadn't drawn that, you could have gone short there, and if you had done, good night. Okay, so this is looking bearish, isn't it? I don't like the way the EMA is pointing up, but if you took that one, it did the same. So it is a second entry short. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Ooh, let's have a look. It's quite a small bar, I think, isn't it? It's 2 points, so it's 2.5 points with a tick above and tick below risk. You know, sometimes I'm tempted to put a short right in there and just risk just that tiny little bit there. I've done that sometimes, almost like buy now and think, well, if it goes a tick above, it was never going to happen anyway. Okay. Sorry. Oh, I didn't mean, oh, it's tick below anyway, so okay. Let's bring that down there. Okay, it's a smallish risk anyway. So we've had this little channel, we've had a break and a new high, so I don't like the way that's stalled there, but it's medium risk anyway. I think it was 2 points, a tick above, tick below. I actually dropped it right on the low there, so I'm risking 2.25 points. The only slight worry I have is we came down the bottom here, and this one we didn't sort of bounce as if we're sort of moving up a bit. Okay, that's looking quite positive. What I might do is take that down a little bit more. I'm a little bit nervous about this for some reason. And that's why. Yeah, something just didn't feel right there. See how we've pushed in here and gone sideways? Sometimes when we push in and go sideways, we end up going out that way. I'll tell you one thing though, first entry, second entry, that's a failure. Now either I'm going to get stopped out here, or if it does push down below there, yeah, I'm going to get stopped out here, I think. If it does push down below there, we might then come down to the bottom. Yeah, something didn't feel right. I was tempted to just jump out of that trade there. But, yeah, 2 points, yeah. Oh well, it is what it is. In fact, what would I have, if I'd have taken my points a bit early, what would I have got to? Early 1.5, 0.75. I think I should have stayed out of that one. Just that made me nervous here. We didn't come down to the bottom here. Remember I mentioned about that? Sometimes when we push in and go sideways, we push out. I think that was 2.2. I'll figure out in a bit. $2.25 risk. His bars are somewhat different than mine, but you can see the two confirmed bullish short-term trend. Yeah, you're right, bud. Yeah. Two confirmed bullish short-term trends. Yeah. fact, I might move that out of the way now. Let's have a look. Took it short up here. The ironic thing is, if I took that and took a point, it would have worked. Still wasn't a good trade though, was it? So we've sort of recovered from this drop, haven't we? We've made it all back. Yeah, it does seem that way, doesn't it? Yeah, the bias, the downward bias does look like it's played out somewhat. You just never know though, do you? I mean, at the moment, it's, you know, we're sort of moving sideways really, aren't we? I suppose we'll see if we break above this. But we've come out this side of this channel, haven't we? Sometimes we'll come out the other side. I see, if I look at chart patterns now and again, and when you get a push up from a certain direction and sideways, you tend to push out from the opposite direction. Five ticks with 5 contracts. You're on about here where I went short. I mean, you'd have certainly got 5 ticks there. I think you'd have got point and a half or something or other, somewhere in there. Somewhere in there. The only trouble is, might Friday, fill the gap of the overnight. Yeah. The trouble is when you are sort of, I tend to now try to take 1-to-1, which is always seems to be around about the 3.5 points. So whereas if you'd have got, where I went short there, if you'd have been scalping a point or even 6 ticks, you'd have made that. So you are going to, even if you get trades wrong, you are going to lose a little bit extra. Yeah. So you are going to lose a few more trades, but the beauty about going 1-to-1, actually that was a slightly lower risk one. Another 1-to-1 trade now would probably put you back in the green. Whereas if you're still scalping a point, a lost trade can take quite a few to get you back where you were. I'm just going to switch my mic off 1 second. I'm just going to nip and use the bathroom. Okay, where are we going now? Do we go along here? Let's have a look. It's just second entry long, isn't it? So it's a little bit. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that happened actually. See, I still think, based on what I can see, we're going lower. So we've had a leg up, we've had a break, new high, try to go once. It's ticked above there, try to go twice. We've had this little sort of push down. I still think we're going lower. That's a failure if it triggers, so let's have a look. Yeah, because we've had this one push down. Okay, let's leave that for now. I'm just wondering, that's a second entry long, whether there's going to be some shorts in there. Yeah, if we get new high, 2 legs down, you think that one would tend to break below there really to be a good enough bullish bar, but let's get one ready. Okay, I was trying to go twice, failed. It can't really make its mind up, can it? Does give you the impression that we're going to have a second push down, doesn't it? I still think we're bearish at the moment, the overall day so far. As tempting it is to take this, I'd certainly like to find maybe a lower high before I think about going lower. Let's just get rid of that for a minute. Yeah, the bias for me is still down. We've had this obviously big break at the bottom, followed by some side, but then a little bit of push up. But I still think, based on what I'm seeing, we're going to continue down. So if you don't count this, that's a second entry long, isn't it? Second entry long, technically. $4.043. We're here now, aren't we? So is that likely to bounce? Second entry long. Second entry long? I can't see a second entry long. I see a second entry short. You could count that as a second entry long. I don't know. If you don't count that high, that's a second entry long. I did mention that, but just looked a little bit sidewaysy. I stayed out the trade, but that was 2 legs back to the high. Yeah. It's not quite choppy, isn't it, really? Previous bullish bar, that one there, yeah. Yeah. It is choppy, isn't it? See, we're down here a new low. Try to go low once, try to go low twice. This could be a failure. We seem to be slowly moving up, don't we? Is that a good place to go long? I think that's a good place to go long. It's around that midline, isn't it? That's what makes me nervous. Makes me nervous. Yeah, it's just too choppy, really, especially to take trades around the middle. It could trigger you and come back down here. It's too risky. I mean, we are sort of slowly going up, aren't we? Switching to a demo, good lad. Sensible, mate. You made some money, haven't you? Good lad. Good on you, mate. Good on you. If I'd have taken that trade, it'd have triggered. I would have took it up to the top here. Still too risky around the middle to me, really. The EMA's not slightly pointing up, but it's still too flattish, I think. So if we look here, second entry line, yeah. So I'm not sure whether we're going up or whether we're going down, really. He may be pointing up a touch, but it's only very lightly. Oh, you're on the evaluation. Good, mate. Good. You and me both, brother. Okay, that's the second entry short, if you don't count this off the bottom. But it is just too choppy, isn't it? There possibly some longs in there from the failure. Yeah, it's not ideal, is it? The run up failed. Yeah, it's stalling, isn't it? Trouble is, you take a trade out here, who knows where it's going to go. It could go up, could go down, might go sideways for a bit. I get a decent pullback. It is too choppy, isn't it? It's actually looking bullish. It is really, isn't it? There's certainly more green candles, and the EMA has come down. We've gone sideways up a little bit sideways up a bit more. Certainly giving that impression at the moment, isn't it? But it is still so congested. And the more I look at that short I take, the worse it looks. And we did have a push up and a break, but just, I don't know, something didn't look right down here. It didn't come down to the bottom, giving the impression it was slowly. But you live and learn, don't you? I suppose the one saving grace, it was a small bar compared to, where are we now? About 2.5 bars. It's a relatively small bar. And I did manage to get it right on the button there, so it was 2.25, something like that, which I suppose nowadays is not a terrible risk. You just can't really take anything around this midline, can you? wider up channel, you're thinking something like this. Something on the lines of that. That just looks confusing to me at the minute. Push up sideways, push up sideways. What about this one here, bud? That's about as much as we can see it yet. Does seem to be slowly moving up, doesn't it? I'm just still not convinced we're moving up. We're in an uptrend at the moment. I think the overall day, where are we? See, where we were here, we had that big drop. We're struggling to get back above where we were, do you know what I mean, before we had that news. And up until then, we're moving down. So we're struggling to get above this area before that news hit. So we had that drop, didn't we? And then we've sort of recovered. So I'm not convinced we're not going down yet. Bottom range, you're about from here. Bottom range, got you. You mean here? See if you count from here. That's the second entry short if it forms. I just don't like the way the EMA is moving up. I got caught out in the last one. I'm not getting caught out another. I've learnt my lesson. It sort of seems like two pushes up, doesn't it? Maybe we'll have a break out of this, and then we fade to a breakout. I don't know. It's not very good range, is it really? It's sort of there, but not as. It's not that convincing. And we do seem to be slowly moving up, so no, I don't. The candle at 1528. 1528. It's definitely been choppy for some time now. I'm assuming the state of the economy has got a lot to do with it, but I've got to say I'm finding the charts so much harder to trade now than I was 12 months ago. I mean, you tend to think, you know, whatever happens in the markets and in the economy shouldn't really affect traders. We just trade the thing, you know. We get an uptrend, we trade it. We get a downtrend, we trade it. We go sideways, we trade it. You wouldn't think the state of the economy would make a massive difference on the day-to-day movements of a chart. It doesn't matter to us whether things are looking great or things are collapsing. From a trader's point of view, it shouldn't matter, but it doesn't have seemed harder to trade. It's a lot more confusing to trade than it was 12 months ago. May go to 4060 if it sits here. So where's 4060 up here? May go up there. Certainly seem to. We're moving in that direction at the moment, aren't we? Yeah, they are difficult. I found it so much easier. I mean, I started 18 months ago. This particular, I'd done a little bit of currency trading before, and I found it when I've been doing it maybe six to 9 months. I started to get a feel for. I knew a little more what I was doing. But I just find it is more confusing. It's a lot more volatile now. It tends to, you know, even if you get a range day now, every time it goes up, it bounces off a different point. Every time it comes down, it bounces. So it's, I mean, ranges. I know I've heard Mac mention ranges. He loves trading ranges because it's simple. Short the tops, buy the bottoms. But I don't know what it is lately. Every time it goes up, it just bounces at a different time, a different place. There is a gap there. So if you count this as a bit of a range, we've broken out of it, we've come back in. If you count this as a channel, you know, what would you do if that ended up bullish? Dig along. We've sort of had this bit of a, yeah, I don't know. It's risky, I think, at the moment. 10,000 tick channel looks like it's just a big bearish candle just printed. As I say, I'm still not convinced we're not going down. 2 measured legs up. You're about here and here. Yeah. Looks like the fade has failed. Yeah, see, if you count that as a range, we've had a breakout and we've come back in. I mean, there's nowhere to short there anyway, is there? Even if you wanted to, we've had sort of 2 legs up. Couldn't short that if you wanted, really. There's no setup, is there? See where it comes down to here. Certainly takes a lot more brain power nowadays than, what would you count that to? I suppose there, wouldn't you? Okay, so if you count into there, yeah, it's basically to the nearest tick, isn't it? 1 push up, although slightly staggered. 1 push up, 2nd push up, but no setup. I wish I had the bank balance to just to go short them. Trouble is, sometimes when you get a push out the top, you can get a push out from the bottom. I have a bigger uptrend channel starting at the bottom of the news. Here. Yeah, I did draw that, but it just looked a bit messy for me. I'm assuming you had it like that, did you? We've had a break out of it now. As I say, I'm still not convinced we're going low. We're going up. I'm still not convinced we're not going down. Rather. Yeah, that looks. It does sort of. We push up, then a bit of sideways. Push up, and a bit of sideways, and then we've hit a new high, and then careered down. It just looks a little bit messy for me. That does. The up channel is not played up. You mean the from the news? That channel you mean there? See, that would be somewhere around there, wouldn't it? And that sort of fits, doesn't it? So we've had 2 legs here, come back, 2 legs here. Yeah, I still think we're going down, I do. We were anyway, and then we had this big drop, and we've sort of recovered more or less back to where it started, although we've tried to go higher there. So if you think about this, we came down, didn't we? And then we had this big drop, and then we've recovered all this, and we've tried to push high. We've had these longs trying to push that high, and they have. They've made it a bit higher than where the news was, but then it tanked quickly. Flat and not from the wick. Okay, so if you go from that bottom one there, okay, yeah, so that fits nice, certainly on the top, doesn't it? And the bottom, actually. Fits the highs nice, actually, and yeah, it does fit. Go from here, say this low here, touched, yeah. So we've had a breakout from this. Yeah, it's definitely getting mind you, I suppose if you know, if you can manage to trade this, then when it does get easy, it should be a doddle, really. If you can trade the tough stuff, then when it eventually gets back to normal, if it ever does, it should be even easier. See if that is an up channel and we've had a break out of it, we'll be looking to retest it. Or if you count this this channel here, we broke out the top, come back in, broke out the bottom where we likely to come back in. So that's 2 instances where you may want to go higher. Fade the breakout from the range, fade the breakout from the channel. But as I say, I'm not convinced we're not continuing down. Certainly looking pretty bearish. Not a huge amount of setups, are there, really, today? The measured move moved up from the new spike bottom for 2 legs. Upon the channel. Came within about a point. So it may have played out, yeah. Looks like it wants to make another run at the highs. Yeah, it's just you can't trade this, really, can you? Not confidently. How long do you guys usually trade for? I mean, when I started for the first, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 months, I was trading for about 7 hours a day. But I tend to find now you can usually get 2 or 3 trades in the first 2 to 3 hours, and I tend to stick at the 3 mark if I can. I don't know, a week and a half ago I did 3 trades in the first 45 minutes, which all won. So in that case, I may stick around a bit longer, but does seem to be the first sort of two to 3 hours tend to produce the best goods. But sometimes, it ends up being choppy, and then all of a sudden it starts to settle, and then it may produce some trades. Stacking up again, isn't it? See, people not sure where we're going to go. We're going to go up, or we're going to go down. Yeah, I used to do some sort of pre-market stuff, maybe an hour before. Trouble is, if you do anything earlier than that, it's like watching paint dry, isn't it? And I've struggled with my patience a little bit, but this type of movement I don't mind, although it's not easy to trade at the moment. But yeah, I used to come around about 1 o'clock UK time. Market opens about 2, so about an hour and a half before the market opens. Sometimes you can get some trades, and it's a little bit less volatile, a tiny bit slower, but enough movement to make make it worthwhile staying there. See, on the 10,000 tick chart, we've come down, haven't we? There's that bit of news. We've worked our way back up. It is slightly giving the indication that we may be working our way down. It's hard to tell, isn't it? Yeah, looks like we're going to go lower. 2 exact measured moves. Test. OVL, what's that? What is the OVL? Reverse lower. I thought about that a couple of days ago, Luca. Footprint, yeah. Your Marlon. I talk to Marlon quite often. Most days, actually, most trading days. And he started using order flow from, it might be Footprint, actually. Apparently, more of the professional traders use order flow. And I think what it does really is it gives you numbers, doesn't it? It gives you, it's basically the order book. So if I'm looking to go short, I can have a quick glance at the order flow, and it will give me an indication of how many other shorts that are they're waiting to trade. So I did, I forget who he does it with. It might be Footprint. I think does he pay $30 a month to rent it with a fortnight or a month's free? I did think about looking into that and getting it on my chart and seeing if it helps me. But the trouble is, when I'm waiting to go long here, you don't know whether there's anybody else or many others. But the good thing about using order flow, it tends to give you a bigger picture of who's sat there waiting in the wings to go long, and if there's a lot more longs waiting and you're waiting to go long, I suppose it gives you that little bit of extra feedback that you're making maybe the right decision. You think it is that? Yeah, Footprint. Yeah, I might look at that later, actually. I might download it and have a look. Use it for a couple of weeks, because anything really that, the trouble is, when you make a trade, sometimes, depending on whether it's volatile and it's maybe not as clear as it should be before you make a trade, it is good to just have some extra feedback. Who else is out there waiting to take that trade, or waiting to go in the direction that you're thinking the market's going to go in? I tried to use a DOM. Yeah, I got that up on my screen a few months ago. It's not as clear as the order flow, is it? Because I know the Canadian futures trader, that's all he uses. I think he trades, I think it's US Treasuries, and that's all he uses is order flow. And I think more of the institutional guys tend to use order flow. But I certainly think it's something to look into. Anything that can help you make better decisions, absolutely. In fact, I've heard many sort of sometimes you get guys on YouTube that say they're an institutional trader, and the institutional traders don't use these bar charts as much. So perhaps that's the way to go. I mean, Mac's been doing this for years, using these, and Al Brooks as well. Both seasoned traders that have been doing it for years, and they don't mention order flow. But they've been doing this donkey's years, and they're used to reading these markets. But for relatively inexperienced traders like me and probably a load of you guys, it's something certainly worth looking at. I'm going to have a look at it. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Luca. I'm going to have a look. I've watched a few of Marlon's, I think, Light Switch Trade recordings. I've watched it. As I say, I chat to him most days. And I know when I've had some of my darkest days and feeling pretty down, we've sort of pick each other up a little bit, and a little bit of pick me up if you're having a bad day, because we both had similar experiences. I suppose most of us have those experiences, but I notice he uses it on his chart, so certainly something to look into. Footprint, I'll look into that later. You have order flow as well. I use it. Helps sometimes with some confirmation, absolutely, but doesn't really make a difference in my opinion. Yeah, I suppose it depends what level you're at. If you are doubting sometimes your trades, it might be nice. You're right, Jimmy. How you doing, mate? It might be nice to just have that extra confirmation that there are other people, thinking along the same lines as you. Jimmy, morning. Where are you, mate? It's about 4:30 in the afternoon for me. Oh, Kent, aren't you? You Kent? I think you're Kent. I was down Kent again yesterday. Place called Erith. Oh, you just got stopped out. Where did you go? You went off the bottom here, did you? What did you take? I'm playing a dangerous game. Look to go long back up. Yeah, bad luck, mate. I'm assuming you went off either that bar or this bar, didn't you? As I say, I'm still not convinced we're going lower. I can see what your thoughts are. This channel up here, we've had a break, but I don't know. This channel just doesn't look like a normal channel for me. It just looks like it just looks like a push in, some sideways movement, a break, some sideways movement, a breakout, and then down. Doesn't make a difference, because if you have a good setup with Pats, you aren't going to question it. I agree. I absolutely agree with that. I think sometimes with that trade I did there, I think I'm probably more eager to get into the market and make something. But if I remember, before I took that trade, I mentioned that I don't like the fact that this came down and pushed right off the bottom, and we're sort of still getting that movement up. So I think in hindsight I was a little bit too over keen there. But fortunately, I didn't do something stupid. I took it on the chin. It was a lower risk, which is good. But yeah, I absolutely agree. If you're confident in your trades, sometimes if you get a nice downtrend, a nice uptrend, you get a beautiful second entry short, nice and bearish, tucked under. Those ones I don't even think about. I just get excited because I know they always work. And I think I need to get back to those lines of thinking. Just wait for those really good trades, because you only need a couple a day. Even if you do one a day, a good solid trade, you're going to make money. The losing trade, short low at the top of the range. Yeah, that one. Trouble is here, we had two legs up, didn't we? Followed by a bearish bar to fade the breakout, but I counted this as a second entry, and it was to the count, but there's an uptrend there, and sometimes I don't know, the more I look at it, the more it just looks fantastic. Spiking on the channel lower, yeah. See, the overall day for me, up until the news, was been bearish, and then we had that big push down. So that's sort of oversold in a sense, isn't it? And we've sort of recovered back to where we were, and now we seem to be working our way down. that's my opinion anyway. Now we got yesterday's lows, not yesterday's, Friday's lows down here. So let's have a look. What have we done over the last few days? Pushed down, pushed up, pushed down. But yeah, at the moment I'm still thinking bearish. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, signal bars form the momentum shift. $10,000 tick chart is, remember I said it came up here and we had that sort of bearish look. We do seem to be working down on there. We came down, had that bit of news, worked our way sidewards and back up a little bit to sort of where we were before. This is where we were before that news, and then we're slowly. So I certainly think we're bearish. So I'm looking for shorts. So hopefully we can come back up. We haven't hit today's low yet. There's today's low. There's Friday's low. So I'm hoping we get some sort of a pullback up here. Let's make a new low of a new spike. We should start to see what's going to happen here. Excuse me. See, I think, as I said, that steady downtrend, then the news, then a recovery or a correction, whatever you want to call it, and then slowly back down. So maybe now we're starting to settle after that initial news, followed by that bit of a recovery. Should have left that and frustrated myself, but it happens. You're never going to get them all right. The more I look at it, this push here, I was looking at just chart patterns the other day, and a lot of these where they go sideways, they come in, they go sideways, and they pop out in the opposite direction, and that's, to me, looks like we're sort of working up. So I'm frustrated with taking that, but you can't beat yourself up. Okay, so we've now made a new low for the day. So I expect maybe to come back up to the EMA soon after. And as tempting as that is, I'm not a fan of picking lows anymore. I've done it once too often. Maybe that's it, maybe it's not, I don't know. So we've had a break in a new low anyway. We've certainly broken the low of the day so far. There's yesterday's low there, so I'm certainly not going to go long here. This just flush or bounce. Yeah, we may just shoot back up quickly, but I'm thinking bearish at the moment. That's on my remit at the moment. I'm hoping we're going to break here and maybe come up into here. Which along the top, Jimmy, that section from there onwards, I got with Max. I joined Max group for a year, and it's called Pat's Toolbar. So I think, if I remember rightly, it's just that section there. I think you've got normal. Are these normal? Yeah, these are a bit from my head, that would. Yeah, Matt. If you're part of Max, mate, if you just go onto his website and I think it comes under downloads. See, I've got this bigger trend drawn. I did something like this the other day. We've had a short-term trend, and we've had a break. We've had a break and two pushes to a new low. So does that mean we're going to move our way up, or would you class that as a break out of the bigger channel? That's the dilemma I face sometimes. That, if you're looking at that, it's played out. But obviously we start with the short-term trend channels, but then we build these bigger channels, don't we? So when we tend to break, we tend to bounce off that EMA and then make a new extreme, in this case a new low. But technically that downtrend there's already played out. But we are bearish, aren't we? Or I think we're bearish. So I will be looking to maybe look for something short around there. How much was that? I think it's $120 for a year, which I've got to say, if you want to learn this style of trading, it's about the cheapest I've ever seen. I bought the manual, which was $100, and to join his group was $120, but if you bought the manual, he reduced it to $100, so even if you pay $100, $120 for a year, that's peanuts for the value you get. I mean, I've looked at courses where they're charging you 2, 3, 4,000 and above. So with what Matt gives you for $120 is incredibly cheap and really good value. There's tons of videos in there of him explaining everything. It's good value. If you haven't had it, I'd say it's definitely worthwhile. But there is, if you're just after tools, you probably pick loads of aftermarket generic toolbars out for Ninja Trader. Stay there. Yeah, we've had 2 clear legs down here as well. If you look on the 10,000 tick chart, same again, we've had 2 legs down. We seem to be working our way back up here. Certainly useful to have. It just gives you a bigger overall picture, what's happening on a slightly larger scale. Have you noticed sometimes it moves by itself? Bloody annoys me, that does. I'm hoping we tick below here. And then move up a little bit and have something bearish. Okay, almost to move up a little bit now, which will give us somewhere on the lines of a second entry. This might be sometimes the steeper the trend, the less closer it goes back to the EMA. Sometimes when you get these really big trends, it goes chunk of the day without getting anywhere near the EMA. Okay, so there's our first entry. So tempting, isn't it, just to go short? Been caught out so many times though. Every time I see it, he just goes down. As soon as I'll jump in, guarantee, up it'll go. I suppose these strategies exist for a reason, don't they? As tempting as it may be. More convincing than the low. So we've had a low of the day, haven't we? I know sometimes it can come to yesterday's low. When we have a break, I do like to see it make 2 attempts up before it fails and comes down. Sometimes I don't like it when we just get a break and a move up followed by a bearish bar. I like to see 2 moves. So we've had a break, we've had 1 push up. Hopefully we'll get another push up followed by a bearish bar and also a second entry. It's just gives you 2 reasons then to go short. Went short and scratched out. I'm losing discipline. Yeah, mate, I'll tell you what, if you're losing discipline, learn to stream. Oh, sorry, learn to stream. Start to stream. I've got to say, this is the calmest I've traded. If you stream, people are watching you. You look like an idiot if you start doing something stupid. Now, when I took that losing trade up here, I've traded now for 5 days without revenge trading, so this is 100% working for me. When you've got people looking over your shoulder, you're less likely to do something stupid. So if you are struggling with discipline, it doesn't matter whether you've got 3 people watching you or 30. Just the fact that people are watching you, you're less likely to do something. This is the calmest I've been now for a long time. So this is working for me. And also, just talking out aloud, talking about trades, you tend to hear it a bit clearer. And it tends to help you make better decisions. You haven't taken a trade today. It's taken me a long time to mentally get to be patient, yeah. And to be honest with you, mate, you're probably the smartest one if you haven't taken a trade today, because really, it's not really been a good market, is it? It's bounced all over the place, and sometimes, see, I'm down a bit there. If I'd have left that, I'd much rather be on 0 than in the red. So the more I look at that one, push, sideways push, break new high, the worse it looks. But that's just probably down to lack of patience and being a bit too eager. But obviously you've made the ultimate choice and left well alone, and based on what I can see, certainly since we had those news, that's been the most sensible trade. See, I'm very tempted to go short here. We've had a break, 2 pushes up to a new high. I'm going to take a short there. Let me look at the... it's a little bit too far away from the EMA for my liking, but we have had a break and 2 pushes. YouTube just doesn't interest me, mate. What's that? A low 2.75 points. YouTubing doesn't interest me, mate, to be honest with you. You've got to be really interesting to be a YouTuber. Probably young, good looking, full of beans. Right, I don't like the way that's stalling there. But we have had a break and 2 pushes up, followed by a bearish bar, which is engulfs that one. Yeah, maybe as if I was a bit younger and a bit better looking. Now, there are some YouTubers who make a fortune. I mean, that's a second entry short. It's also a lower high. It's off the key entry point. Sometimes when we get a sharp push down, we don't go back to the EMA as much as I think we should. So I think that's okay to trade. It's not a massive bar. Let's soon find out. We haven't pushed into the EMA very much there, and we've had another go and we haven't. Okay, we're in it whether we like it or not. So it's triggered me. I'm going to give that one extra tick. Right, the only thing I'm seeing here is we've had a push up, down, and another push up. I'm just going to take it up to this one. See, if you look at that one, that's a second entry long, which is triggered. I'm hoping if we can come down here and break below this one, then we should get our push down. One win for me. Thanks for a great stream. You're welcome, buddy. You're welcome. Take it easy. Yeah, if we can break below here, then I think then we're working down, because that's a second entry long. We've broken the lows of today, so you may be getting people going long. And if I look at that, that's also a second entry short off the key entry point, right on the EMA. Beautifully bearish. I'm just hoping it pushes below. If we get pushed below here, then I think we're good. Looks like we're going to. Not quite the dramatic drop I was expecting. But I think we are. That's as good as as a short as you can get, I think. This to me looks clearly like we're going lower. We've had two clear pushes back. In fact, we've had three if you count that one. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I mean, for me, we've come down here. We've had two clear pushes up. We've finished nice and bearish on the EMA, with the EMA pointing down. As far as I'm concerned, we're in a downtrend still. So I think this is going to come down and make me 25 points. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some longs there, which will increase that push down some more. So as far as I'm concerned, we're coming down. We can break below here, which was a pretty, yeah. You got your 2 points. Good on you, lad. Yeah, this is a good short for me. Yeah, I mean, this looks like a downtrend to me. Let's have a look. Yeah, we've had that good push down. We had that bit of drop. We've had that correction. 2 legs down. Twice up to the EMA. EMA is not having none of it. EMA's nicely pointing down. I think we're coming down here maybe to yesterday's low. So I'm going to see if I can get my money back. And some. So I might just, hopefully we'll get a nice sharp push down. We shall see. But I'm going to keep my my stop relatively close. I'm probably being a bit of a coward here because I could probably take it a lot more. I think it's going to go down some more. And perhaps I should give it some room to manoeuvre, but I'm just more concerned about getting some losses back. So I'm keeping it pretty tight. Yeah, I was a bit of a coward there. I wouldn't be shocked if it comes down to here, but that's quite a... So I've got back what I lost, and I'm now $533 up. So to be honest with you, that for me, I was very tempted to double up on that one, but we've had this push down. We've had 1, 2, 3 good pushes back to the EMA. A bearish bar at the EMA going short does not look any better than that. That's a beauty, that is, for me. There's going to probably be some longs in there, maybe a few longs left. They may take their profits, which is going to help give it that momentum. But where did I take mine at? I took mine out here. Now, I think we may get a little bit of a pullback, but I still think we're coming lower down to here. But that's the perfect trade for me, near enough, I think. 2 pushes up. Beautiful and bearish. EMA's facing lower. Like I say, I've said all day, I'm convinced we're still in a downtrend. I think the reason we did make some of this correction is because we had that big strong push down. Whenever we do make these big pushes down, we always tend to recover. And we recovered right back to more or less where we started before the news. We had a little bit of a push which failed. And then this sharp push down, which is telling me then we're moving down. There we go. Yeah, so I sort of probably came out at the right time, didn't I? I still think we're going lower though. Yeah, let's see where that finishes. Time for me to walk away for the day. That's exactly what I was thinking, mate. Excuse me. So my evaluation, we're day 3 now, and we're up $1,235. So I'm pleased with that. We're a trade under halfway there, 3 days. So you could do it in 7 days now. So theoretically, by the count, if everything goes as well as it should, I'm just a bit frustrated. I got suckered into that one. That's me just being a little bit too over keen. I mean, if you look at the difference between that trade and that trade, they're worlds apart. That's screaming it's going lower. That one is going down to 4005. Yeah. To be fair, mate, that's where I put that one more or less at there, which was yesterday's low. Friday's low. And that does act like a bit of a magnet as well. Sometimes it'll retest that. And that looks to me, where are we now? We're just going to drop back down. In fact, I can smell my dinner cooking. It smells lovely. My wife's cooked, well, I shouldn't say that really. I cooked it actually. I threw it in the oven earlier. Yeah, I'd say we're coming down to here. I'd be surprised if we didn't. Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I certainly think we're coming down to yesterday's lows. We've had that bit of a drop, haven't we? A little bit of stalling. Are we going to push back up to here? Back to the EMA? It's starting to look like we're not, doesn't it? If you ended up going short here, thinking we're coming down, no, my luck would pop back up. In fact, I'm not going to take any trades today. I'm up nicely. I'm up where I want to be. If I can get above $350 a day, that's a nice number for me, which is one positive trade. And the good thing about taking that a bit lower, and when you're doing a minimum 1-to-1, it gives you that chance of getting it back. I could never go back to scalping 1 point nowadays, especially with the way the markets are. Although the ATR today, that's actually really low. So the average bar is 2.5 points, which is pretty good. You look at the average bar over the night and it can go up to 3 times that. Can you show how measured moves work? Those pink things here. What it basically does is just shows markets generally move in twos. And you put those on just to give you an idea where it may go. So if you take this area here, we had 2 pushes up. So and all this does is basically sort of plots where it's likely to go. So if you look at that, I'd say that's about here. We've had that 1 push up, a little bit of a break, and then another push up. And a lot of cases, when you get 2 push up, it'll make what they call a measured move, and it more or less has to the nearest tick. You see what I mean? So the reason I draw them is, can you see the same here? We've had a push down, another push down. Same here. Where's this one? Same again. Yeah, another push up, a little pull back, and another push up. Doesn't look like a pullback on the count, but you can see it's a red candle. Same here. 1 leg down, pull back, 2 legs down, and then we move on. 1 leg up, pull back, another leg up. So that's sort of how we do it, really. You can see it here. 1 leg down, pull back, another leg down. 1 leg down, pull back, another leg down. Market likes to move in 2, so it's not guaranteed it'll move to the nearest tick, but it's just an extra little indicator giving you an idea of where it's likely to go. So if it does make a push down and has a pullback to the EMA, there's a more often chance than not that we're going to come down and make that second leg. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. You can see this, can't you, where we moved up to this high here. So if you look at this, we're coming up to about here, aren't we? Yeah. And then we pull back to here, and if you look again, look where that's finished, to the nearest tick. So we've had one. This is a little bit of, pay no attention to this really. That's a 1 push up, but it's in 2 little sections. But we've had a push up, pull back, and a push up. Same with this. We've pulled down. Sometimes we'll pull back. Sometimes we'll go a little bit sideways, and then we'll make a second leg down. But the more you look at them, the more you'll spot them. This is more of an obvious one. 1 push up. So what you'll find is when we push up, people take profits, which allows the market to come back. And then we'll have a second push up then. So because the market likes to work in 2s, that's how you tend to picture things. So it just gives you an idea. 1 leg down, pull back, second leg down, 1 leg up, pull back, second leg up. And also with short-term trend channels, always draw those because that'll give you an idea of where we've broke. So we've broke here. Sometimes it's a good idea to do another long for the second leg. But the more you look at them, the more you'll see them. Sometimes they're not always that as clear, but the more you look at them, the more you'll just spot them. That's why I drew one here. There, and I'm expecting something like this back down. I'm not convinced we're not going to come back here first, but I still think we're coming down. And sometimes there's, as well as having these short ones, there's bigger ones as well. So we've had that one pushed down, and then we're likely to make a second. So sometimes you'll get 2, sometimes you'll get larger ones. I hope that makes sense. But the more you do it, the more you'll see it. And all it does is it just builds up that picture that we're all sort of striving to learn where the market's likely to go. Well explained. Thank you, mate. So, but okay, so we had a bit of a rocky start. But after we've had that news and this sort of recovery, we seem to be going back to where we originally were on a slow downtrend for the day. So, yeah, so I think we're going to come down certainly to here. But, you know, this is only sort of my thoughts. Retracing, yeah. We've had this little bit of a push and a break. Also, as well, I was listening to a trader the other day who mentioned decreasing and increasing. Sometimes when these bars decrease in size and then go flat and then increase, sometimes that's another good area of getting a push up. But this is a bit of a pullback. We may go a bit. I think we're going lower, but I don't know. What do I know? But I'm going to call it a day there, guys. That's a good positive day for me. Any day in the green. I've had 3 days now on this, and I've had 3 positive green days. So even sometimes when you get that little loss, have you noticed did you notice I went quiet a little bit when that happened? Now what I did is switch my mic off and grab my wife throttle. No, but sometimes I went a little bit quiet and I was like, okay, it happens, you know, and then I ended up getting back into it, keeping my composure, waiting for a good setup, which was there, and I got my money. I got my money back, plus made some. So all good. So it just goes to show you that the streaming definitely helps you stay on the straight and narrow. So if you are struggling, you are going through that same sort of thing that I am, or I was, then I would absolutely stream, or even maybe get together with a couple of friends, a couple of other traders, and share each other's charts and chat while you're trading. I think it's less likely to make you do something stupid. Put it this way, I've 3 days on this evaluation with losing trades. I'm pretty sure I'd have done something stupid by now, but I haven't felt the urge to. So all good. So I'm going to mark this up in a bit and work out how many points, and I'm going to post it on the Facebook. So I appreciate you guys hooking in. It's been nice talking with you all. In fact, sometimes it's nicer to have a small amount of people, because you get to know people a bit more and chat with them. But yeah, cheers Jimmy, you have a good evening, mate. I'm going to go and have my dinner, and I'm going to have a nice small glass of single malt for my reward for today. So I'll mark this up now. So I'll be trading now tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday from around about 2:30, but I'll pop on another link later on the Facebook group. So I appreciate all your feedback. Nice talking with you all, and I will we'll catch up again tomorrow.